So, you run a brand called 43188. What is the meaning behind the name?
There is no meaning. It was the last 5 digits of my phone number.
Wow.
So, which is why then I transferred to LCF. And the system there was very different. It was very hands-on. It was, we had a session with our tutors once a week.
Okay.
And I was just like, why am I paying you so much money? I think year 5 or year 6 when I was like, this is really not working. I've put in a lot of money, so let's just do like one last show for the F of it. And after the show, I'll just announce like it's shut shop.
Hi everyone, welcome to No Idea Whatsoever. I have Shweta Kapur with me today, who is the founder and creative director of 43188. She happened to study in India and then go to London to pursue her fashion education. And in today's podcast, she talks about the difference between studying in India versus London and how it really shaped her life. Hi Shweta, welcome to No Idea Whatsoever.
Thank you for having me here.
Of course, I'm so inspired by all the work you're doing, and I'm constantly looking at the Instagram and seeing your clothes are absolutely outstanding.
Thank you so much.
So, you run a brand called 43188. What is the meaning behind the name?
There is no meaning. It was the last 5 digits of my phone number.
Wow.
So it's actually the most pointless name, but I just think it sticks. It's fun. It's just there.
It's really cool, actually. It has a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
And it's also, usually numbers aren't very easy to remember, but for some reason, this is a very easy number.
I think we've just also marketed it in such a way where we've made sure that the brand name is visible throughout.
Yeah.
And I feel more you see it, more you talk about it, it just kind of stays in your head. So that was always the idea, to just keep on saying 43188 as much as you can.
But how did you do that? That's very interesting.
I think it was done more on a tantrum. I think one of my tantrum phases, because I was like, oh, I'm just going to name it, name my brand this, and my parents were like, don't be stupid, you can't do that. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to do that, because I just had to be the rebel. So and then the rest is history.
And now do they love it?
I mean, yeah, they still think I'm stupid, but it works.
But you went to London College of Fashion. How is the education there?
It's very different. In fact, I was in Pearl for I would say 2 years in Delhi. And it was very different, because they were all like, you will never be a designer, because they teach you things in a very different manner. They want you to work for an export house, because at that time, the maximum jobs were available at export houses.
Okay.
So the entire, the course was structured in a way where, if you have to get a job in an export house, or if you are running an export house, then you have all the tools and how to do. It's a very textbook, right? I feel like in India, our education system is very textbook.
Even now?
Even,
still,
it was 10 years back, or I would say a few years back, but it was very okay, this is written in the book, this is how you're supposed to do it. The teacher comes, gives you a session, you do something, it gives you your A grade, B grade. It's still very okay, if you don't, follow the rules, or if you're talking too much, you're a bad student and you're too spoiled and blah, blah, blah. And which didn't sit well with me. And, if your tutor's telling you that you're never going to be a designer, why are you studying to be a designer? It's not a very good feeling. So I was like, you know what, forget it. This space is not for me. Which is why then I transferred to LCF. And the system there was very different. It was very hands-on. It was, we had a session with our tutors once a week.
Okay.
And I was just like, why am I paying you so much money? But it was just and that once a week was 15 minutes that you got.
Really?
Face-to-face, one-on-one time with your tutor. Now it's up to you how much work you get, right? The rest of the week you're supposed to go ham on research, on collecting information, sampling, working, designing, whatever you can do. and the next week you get those 15 minutes to discuss it. So if you haven't done your work, those 15 minutes are a waste. In fact, your entire week's a waste.
Correct.
But if you really go with certain stuff, they push you, they tell you, okay, this is what you're doing wrong, this is what you're doing right, this is what's interesting. And I felt like that approach to education was really what gives you your own handwriting,
Yeah.
Whether it's anything, because I feel like research is a very big part in any job.
Career field, absolutely.
Right? You need to know what's been done, how things are going to move ahead, what's the new technology that's coming out. So the more you experiment, more you read, is the better you're as informed as you can be.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, especially now with technology and like way things are moving, there's so much more that things are changing every second.
Absolutely.
So, and there's so much, you still feel like you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to go back to school.
But I mean, in the UK, they're known for independent learning. But 15 minutes a week, like for the rest of the week, did you have any structure, or did you have to create your own structure and just
You
figure
create your own structure, and of course, like, if you need help, there are assistant coaches who are there to assist you. And you can always ask for help. But the thing is, like, they don't want to spoon feed you.
Yeah.
They want you to figure out your way and explore. And London's a place where there's just so much to do. There's so much to learn. There's, nothing, like, 1 week wasn't enough.
I can imagine. But were any of your professors, like what were they running their own brands? What kind of professors, or were they just solely professors who were?
A lot. I mean, there was a mixed bunch, but I remember the guy who I learned pattern making from, how to cut the fabric, was a tailor at Savile Row.
Oh, wow.
So, he really knew he made us buy blazers and really rip it apart and see how it's constructed, how to cut it, how to buy the right pair of scissors, and what's the cutting, like the angle that you should be cutting it at. So I think all that was very interesting because, you're getting like first-hand experience with someone who's actually doing like some of the top work in the world.
Yeah. And Pearl didn't have any of this. It was more theory.
I mean, I would still say, Pearl did teach me. I always learn from wherever I can, but it was a very different approach. It was, how do you, like, Pearl taught me how to really maybe, like, say, make line sheets and do grading, like certain things which maybe London did not teach me. So I felt I had the best of both worlds. And especially now when, like, I have my own business, I think it's just helpful to know both sides.
Correct.
You're not just a designer, but you know the business aspect of
Absolutely.
it as well. So that helps me.
And you interned at Burberry and Vogue Italia.
I interned at a lot of places. I mean, I was a serial interner, if that's a word. But what I did was, like, every summer I used to try getting an internship with a different aspect of fashion. So whether it's like working at a small designer, a big design house, I worked with a fabric section of Burberry, I worked with someone backstage, I worked with styling, I worked with sourcing, I worked with even a journalist, I worked with everyone. I worked with someone who was also like consultant in fashion. So one was basically at that point I wanted to just explore what all is there in fashion besides just designing. So I could, like, actually make an informed choice of what I want to do. And I feel like in the long run it's helped me understand the 360 view of fashion.
Yeah.
I know, like, how things work, where I might not be the best at it, but at least I have an idea of how it functions.
And what were the challenges you faced while setting up 43188?
I had no idea. I feel like I was very naive, especially when you're like a young girl in India. No one really takes you seriously. It was always taken like, with, yeah, like, she's a spoiled girl, will probably do this for fun for a few years and then shut shop and whatever. But I feel, and also the kind of product that I was doing was very new. Everyone was only doing bridal and lehengas and stuff. And I was like, I want to do athleisure and I want to do like these sports bras and I want to do like have people wear this like open shirt over a sports bra, like which was like really like
Cool
what do you?
trend.
I mean, it was cool, but I was also coming from a very New York aesthetic,
Yeah.
right? I was like, yeah, like that's how girls dress, but because I hadn't lived in India for a while. So I was in that bubble, right? That you wear leggings and like put on a pair of heels, like take your bag and then you're just running around. But you come to India and you obviously can't dress like that because one, people are staring at you, you're uncomfortable, it's hot, you don't walk outside, you definitely don't wear heels, on the day
Absolutely.
you're in your car. And it's a very different environment here. So while I had that whole thing of like, I'm going to make like these cool, sexy clothes, there was no market for it because sure, it looked great. It looked great in editorials. It looked great on celebrities. It looked great in shoots. But a real normal human being walking on the road will not be buying it. So I think like it took me a while to kind of like bridge that gap. And then I think it took me like 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you always knew you wanted to become a fashion designer even when you were in school?
Grade 9th, yeah.
Okay, wow. So that's a really long time.
Yeah.
And before this, did you work for someone else as a proper job or did you just straight dive into your own?
No, I mean, I was like, basically what happens in fashion is that it takes really long to get a proper job. It's always internships. My internships were very long. I was practically working for free for forever, which is why I was like, if I'm working for free, might as well work for myself. I also feel like by then I had collected a lot of information about what works and what doesn't work. I was lucky enough to have worked by then in India, in London, in New York. So I knew how systems were in each country. And I just kind of put it in like a bit of like a khichdi mode and like, how I feel like also in India, like the more chaotic you are, it makes more sense to us. If you try to organize something like us as Indians, we're just like, what do you mean? Like, what are these lines? What is this? The moment we just like make everything like chaotic, like we just get it and it's beautiful. Like we understand chaos in such a beautiful manner and we function so well. So I basically took everything, made it a bit chaotic in my own little way and then it just worked.
So, I mean, you do saris now mostly. How did you, that from sports bras and shirts to saris, did you have like, was that your transition?
No, I mean, it was, I was designing for a very particular woman, which I was very confident about. In fact, she's still the woman I'm designing for, so that hasn't changed at all. And it was, I was like it was a friend's wedding and I was like, so, obviously I was thinking about like what to wear and blah, blah. And I was like, this woman, if she has to go for an Indian function or a wedding or a Diwali, like what would she wear? And which is why and when I came up with that sari with the legs showing. So I was like, oh yeah, like this looks cool because she doesn't want to wear her mom's saris for sure. She's not going to wear what other people are wearing. She wants to wear things her own way, which is how the sari came about. And since then, it's also like our saris are always known for being the sexy, glam, easy to wear saris. And we've always just kind of stuck to that.
And coming from a South Asian household, was there any pushback from your family that, why do you want to get into fashion or?
I think they understand because no one in my family, I mean, everyone's working, but no one had any idea about fashion or garments or anything, right? Like, they were just like, what are you doing? But because, like, I've known this since, I think, like I said, like, class 9th. I was like, this is the only thing I know what to do, how to do it, what to do. I wouldn't do anything else. And so they were like, I mean, I've been lucky because they were like, just follow your dream, that's it.
So, considering the fact that no one was in fashion in your family and you kind of knew from the age of, whatever, 13, 14, what inspired you then at that age that now this is my moment?
I don't know.
I think
it just came in my head that I'm going to be this. And I was like, okay. And I've lived my life very, if something comes to my head, it's like, okay, I just listen to it. That's why even the name just came to my head and I'm like, this is the name. There's nothing, no left, right, nothing. It's just straight up.
But were you quite fashionable growing up yourself?
Not at all. I was really badly dressed. I was like, I think I was too experimental. Like no one really understood what I was wearing or what I was doing.
But now you mentioned when you were doing internships, they weren't paid. Is that still the case?
I don't know. Like in New York, my lunch and travel was paid.
Okay.
But that's also like because out of all the interns, I was, they had, she took a liking to me because, I was studying in London, the designer was from London. So she, I mean, and I did work hard, like, so she's like, look, we don't pay interns, but we're happy to cover lunch and travel, which I was like, cool,
Great,
like extra pocket money. I mean, we pay our interns.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. I don't know how people do it outside, but from what I've heard, it's still tough.
But how have you gone about differentiating your brand? Because honestly, like the imagery, the kind of it's amazing. It's mind blowing. How have you come to? Did you always know that this is how you wanted it to look, or has it been an evolution?
It's just, of course, it's been evolution. It's also I've been lucky to work with the top people who have guided me through the years, and I feel like the idea has always been to be authentic. If it doesn't make your heart sing, then don't do it. Right. So for me, it was just like, okay, do I like this? Do I not? So always trust your own your own light.
Yeah.
If that works, then that works. And then just you do you.
And all these clothes you're now making, it's fashion has become such a big thing in India, especially for our rich culture. There's a party, there's Diwali, there's like so many different occasions here. Is there any, like, do you have to constantly keep designing for all different occasions, or how do you keep it so, like, how do you make it so approachable for people? Because I feel like there's so many people who have to be really taken out of their comfort zone to wear certain things. Do you have such clients as well who come to you and you're like...
Lots, but we also have lots that we have to offer, because for us, we are a 24/7 brand. You want something in the morning, we have it. You want to wear something in the afternoon, we have it. You want to wear something at night, we have it. You want to wear something on a flight, we have it. So the brand's main message is anything, like whatever's convenient, we do it for you. The saris are convenient, our jackets are convenient, our shirts are very convenient, the pants are very convenient. So the website, the packaging, everything's designed keeping in mind that the customer is looking for a convenient option.
Yeah.
The customer is someone who's always on the go, so they need something which is easy and mindless. You don't want to be spending time thinking like, what should I wear? That should not be the case.
And has, the film industry been quite a big inspiration in the sense of the kind of clothes you design, or...
It's not inspiration. I'll say like the industry is of course been very helpful in pushing the brand out there to really market the product, because without that, like I feel like anything in India, if you want to sell anything here, like you have to be associated with Bollywood or cricket, because we are obsessed with it.
Is that still very much the case?
It's very much the case. You look at any top product in the country, you will either have Bollywood associated or cricket.
Yeah. So what was your major breakthrough, when you had like a celebrity wearing your clothes?
I would still say, I think this was like, year 5 or year 6 when I was like, this is really not working. I've put in a lot of money, so let's just do like one last show for the F of it. And after the show, I'll just announce like it's shut shop.
Okay.
So I just had fun with that collection, with that show. And the show got over, we were back in our stall, suddenly the buyers are buying everything. Priyanka Chopra stylist comes in and is like, listen, I'm picking this one thing up. I said, okay, sure. And it must be like around 6 in the evening, and she wore it that day at night for dinner.
Oh, wow.
And I'd gone to sleep like at 10:30, 11, like I do. And suddenly the next morning, that top was sold out.
Really? On your website?
On the website, it was just sold out.
That is just, this is the power of some.
Yeah, like some, I mean, I wouldn't say all.
Of course,
it's just also like you have, I mean, whatever's authentic, right? Now, if someone who is very, very modern is suddenly wearing something which is very traditional, is feeling uncomfortable in it, no matter how popular that person is, like it's never going to like translate into space.
Correct.
But you know, people look up to certain individuals because they identify with them at some point. So they're like, you know, okay, fine, like I love what Devki is wearing and I want to be like Devki. So they'll, you know, and it doesn't have to be anyone from Bollywood or influencer. It can be your friend, your best friend, or your sister, or whoever. And if they like how you look, and they'll just be like, okay, you know what? I want that jacket. Let me go buy that jacket.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Because I think you mentioned that, you know, you almost going to shut shop, which is crazy because from the outside, people look at you and they're like, you know, she's killing it. She's doing so well.
I mean, it's very tough. It's all like, it's also all filtered, guys. Like, it's nothing is like perfect. It's, I've had a lot of days where I'm just like howling and crying and be like, what am I doing in my life, you know?
Yeah, I can totally empathize.
But it's fine. Like, you just have to make sure you, of course, have good days, you have bad days. But the point is, like, you just have to move, just make sure you're moving like one step forward every day, you know? And regardless of a good day or a bad day, just show up.
Yeah, I agree. And now, are there a lot of stylists who approach you for, I mean, is it happening all the time now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a give and take, right? So,
do they pay? Like, do celebrities pay for their clothes?
If they're buying, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, not really.
I mean, then it's a business transaction, right?
Yeah.
In a way, like they would wear the clothes. We, of course, get publicity and marketing out of it.
Yeah.
So it works for both of us.
And how important are interpersonal relations when you're dealing with them? Because surely there's a lot of back and forth that must go into each fitting, each style.
It's like with any relationship, right? Like look, you have to be as nice or as authentic to whoever you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Whether it's your, you know, someone who's actually stitching your clothes, or someone who's making your clothes, or someone who's ironing it, or someone who's selling it, or someone who's buying it. You have to have the same relationship with everyone. Like mutual trust and respect is very important. So if you don't respect me, I'm not going to respect you.
Yeah.
You know. So.
And as a female entrepreneur, did you think that the challenges were even, you know, bigger for you to overcome?
Always, always. I feel like in the country, you're not taken very seriously. A lot of times I've been asked, like, you know, call your brother, father, husband.
To talk to us.
To talk to us. And I'm like, I don't have any. Like, you know, like they don't want to talk to you. They have no idea, right? So I think you have to be a bit assertive. And yes, if you are very assertive, then like you're labeled a bitch. But you just take it in your stride. And, you know, if you know your stuff, no one can say anything. But
yeah.
It just takes 5 more minutes like to tell them that, look, you do know your stuff. So just that.
So now if you were to go back to fashion school, you know, what is it that you think was missing or is missing now that you would have loved to learn back then? That you had to learn on the job?
I mean, business for sure, though I feel like it's not very glamorous to learn about business, but I would have loved to learn more about it. I would have loved to learn more about marketing because I honestly love it. And just technology. And
you know, you give interviews all the time, right? How important is public speaking in your opinion? Like, just to kind of...
It's important. I don't know if I'm very good at it, but like I feel it is important. Like I used to be schooled by my PR a lot because I used to say really inappropriate things, which is not meant to be said. But it is important. I mean, the thing is, like, now no one's buying your brand; they're buying you. You know.
Yeah.
You know?
So a story has to be there around what.
It's not just a story. They need to know who's making it, who's behind it, like what is it about, like what is the personality. And sure, when I started the brand, it was just me, right? So it had everything about me. But now, like, we have a huge team, and it's not just about me. It's like, it's got personality traits of, you know, my production head, my sales team, my tailors, my designers. It's a sum of all of it's a sum of all of us, and not just us, but our retail partners, because everyone's invested in this company so much that it kind of has its own thing. But at the same time, like, it's still very important that you have a brand ethos, you have your brand values, and that's what people are looking for. So the more you talk about it, which, you know, in this case, if it means that I have to be more out there, sure, because in a way, I'm repping the company.
Yes.
Whatever it is, and I'm happy to do that.
So one of the ways of marketing, of course, you know, is going to, you know, you have celebrities, etc., and doing shows. What else do you do? Just is it a lot of social media?
A lot of social media, but also social media is like it's a free and a cheap tool.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't say cheap because I feel like now your content needs to stand out a lot. Everything is
Absolutely.
like, you know, when Instagram started, it was very organic, it was very unfiltered. Like we have like one filter that people, I still remember my first Instagram post, like it looks really bizarre. And now you have serious productions on it. But at the same time, I would still say like, I put up beautiful shoots, you know, that we've done, spent a lot of money and time ideating, and I'll get like 5 likes. And like, you know, I take one stupid selfie wearing my clothes in the mirror. It will be like some 10,000 likes and like some 12 orders in one day. So
wow.
So I feel like that's your storytelling. You know, people want to also see, while they do want to see the shoes, they want to see the whole like the clean aspect. They want to see the films, and they want to see like how do the models look. They want to see the shows, but they also want to see like who's the person, and when normal people wear it, when they go for a party, how do they look, how do they feel, how do they walk. They want to see that.
Is this, so again, this is all about being an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Like trying to and it's a very business side of things again. Was this something that you learned at all in your in your
No, I feel like actually what I would have loved to learn is also how to manage my time, how to set goals, how to just the essentials of success, you know. And it's just about, most of it is about how to manage your day.
Yeah.
It's very easy for us to list down like 10 things in your diary, and then end of the day be like, oh, I haven't ticked anything, or I've only ticked like 5 things out of this 10. I'm such a loser, I can't do anything. But actually, when you just sit down and you realize those 5 things are actually taking like an hour and a half each, that's a long day, because you have to account for lunch, your pee breaks, your water breaks, your, you know, tea, or just walking around from one meeting to another. You have to account for that. And when you do, you actually see you have a packed day. So you're actually overestimating yourself.
Yeah.
So that difference of like, am I underestimating? Am I overestimating? That's very important. And I feel like those are the things that need to be taught.
So now it's been many years that you've been in this space. How do you manage your time? Like, what does a typical day look like?
It starts at 6, I think. And then goes on to like maybe, I mean, I've been given a very strict thing not to work after 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would be working till 10. But 8, I shut shop like mentally from work, and I think I've passed out by 10:30 or something.
When a lot of youngsters come to you, do they think that fashion is just about glamour, or do they know the reality of what goes behind creating a brand?
It's changed. It's changed a lot. Yes, like a few years back, it was very like, you know, I'm going to be a designer and it's amazing. But I think like what everyone who's coming in, what they're looking for is a purpose. What they're looking for is that, okay, look, I want to be around people who are, who have a similar wavelength, who think like me, who have the same values like me, you know. And once that is aligned, that is when people feel comfortable and stay in a company. When the company has no idea what they stand for, what their values are, you'll see a lot of people going in and out, because everyone's just like, no one has any idea what's happening, right? And it's just like a very underlying current. So I think what people are looking for is just a place where they feel belonged. And so not the glamour side, but they just want to feel recognized and appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very fair. And I think in our society or culture especially, positive reinforcement is really not the way of learning or teaching, you know?
No.
It's very much the contrary of you did this wrong and fix it, or you're passing or failing and things like that. But do you have any icons you look up to in fashion and who you're extremely inspired by, aside from yourself now?
No, not me. I'm not inspired by myself at all. But I mean, I mean, the only people I actually really look up to are my mentors, who have nothing to do with fashion. But it's just like they've just taught me so much about life and what really matters, right? It's not, I mean, whatever we're doing, all this is just a facade. It's just an identity that we, or just a role that we've taken up. But like, what is behind that? Like, why are we doing what we are doing? And what's the purpose of it? Like, what is your goal in life? Like, they were able to make me see that, and I feel like, you know, because they figured it out, for me, it's like, okay, fine, like, if someone has to live life, it has to be like them. Just having clarity, absolute clarity about where you're going.
I think that's super important in any career. Even in school as kids, you have to have clarity about what you're doing. Or at
Yeah.
least like there has to be some formal education of telling you that these things are important,
Yeah.
to understand. But what are some of the tips you'd like to give to aspiring fashion designers?
Well, work a lot. I mean, read a lot, research a lot. Don't think you know it all, because you actually don't. And what I would say is learn something in some other field, right? So if, say, you are in fashion, maybe learn something about how a car works or the insides of a car works, and try to use that knowledge, take that knowledge, and then try to use that in fashion. And be like, okay, fine, an engine works because of this factor. Can I use the same logic in what I'm trying to do?
Yeah.
That really opens up your mind. It gives you a fresh perspective.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Shweta, for coming. It was so nice
Thank
to talk
you.
to you. Thank you.